undressing me with your eyes. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Well, the Republican National Committee's headquarters was evacuated after receiving a package addressed to Donald Trump containing 2 vials of blood. They've already eliminated suspects who no longer have any. The Commerce Department has announced that it wants to add 1 million women to the construction industry. That or just 8 guys. Yeah, it's funny. A brewery in the UK is being forced to shut down its website after selling a beer in honor of Osama bin Laden. They should have sold vodka instead. That way everyone could honor the terrorist with a shot to the face.
Nice.
So they laughed at the setup, but not the punchline. A Nigerian woman created the world's widest wig at almost 12 feet in width. But is it for sale? Asked one man. Illinois politicians aim to change the word offender to justice-impacted individual.
What?
In a related story, Illinois taxpayers want to change the word politician to Marxist-impacted stain. Sports writer for the Kansas City Star has called for the Kansas City Chiefs to replace Harrison Butker with a female place kicker. And so far, we have 1 volunteer. Wow. Tough crowd. On this day in 1908, the Wright brothers patented the airplane. 3 years later, they also patented the bitchy male flight attendant.
That was good.
Competitive eater Takiro Kobayashi has announced he's retiring. Also retiring, his plumber. This week in 1891, the first motion picture was shown to 147 people in Thomas Edison's lab. And on that same day, moments later, the men stuck around to see the first porno. Wow. A man was arrested for assaulting a Canadian cop with a block of cheese. Lucky for him, it wasn't sharp.
That was so
The fact that you laugh at that, but not at the other pieces of brilliance, makes me sick to my stomach. A climber was found dead after falling off the highest peak in North America. Park authorities located the deceased climber at the base of J-Lo's ass. Oh. And according to a new study, New Jersey is the state with the dirtiest restaurants. Great. It's not just the dirt, it's the small portions, said one man. All right. You guys. I try to keep off the fat jokes, but you guys just eat them up. All right, so the Democratic candidate for the most powerful position on earth gave a speech last night to the NAACP where he couldn't say the name of the organization. In fairness to him, it is a whole 5 letters. But there he committed no less than 9 errors that were later corrected by White House staffers. 9 errors in a single speech. Hell, Fetterman didn't make that many in a year after his brain blew up like an Iranian helicopter. What are you guys, pro-Iran here? Ooh, too soon? You guys are mourning the butcher of Baghdad? Me. So how do we know about these errors? They were corrected in plain view, or else we wouldn't have noticed. Which made me think, when someone offers you something that you didn't ask for, like leaking both these errors and the corrections, you got to ask yourself what's really going on. Could it be that we're seeing a shift, a realization perhaps, that something's up and it might be Joe's number? Because something here smells fishier than Joy Behar's nylons after a 2-mile walk in August. Let's examine the evidence, America. You laughed at it. Now, in case you missed it, his speech, if you missed his speech, and don't worry if you did, because so did Joe, here's a few of the flubs the White House corrected.
And when I was vice president, things were kind of bad during the pandemic. I'm humbled to receive this organization. It truly inspires me. saving millions of families $800,000 in premium, $8,000 a year in premium. We're cracking down on corporate landlords who keep rents down. The mortality rate for black moms who have nearly 3 times more likely to die. Donald Trump has said if he loses again in November, there will be, quote, bloodshed. The NAACP spirit endures.
What the hell? So among Biden's gaffes was the claim that the NAACP spirit endures, not the NAACP. Maybe he's afraid if he says P, he'll actually do it. The NAAC is actually the National Academy of Ambulance Compliance, a number that I'm sure Jill has on her speed dial. Biden also claimed to have been VP during the pandemic. Joe, you missed it by about 4 years. And how could you do that and still pretend you were a professor and a truck driver? Has he bragged about winning an Oscar for Barbie yet? And he said he saved families $800,000 a year each in insurance premiums. If you do the math, he was off only by about $800,000. And then there was this one where he called the January 6th rioters erectionists.
Calls the erectionists who stormed Capitol Hill patriots.
Erectionists. Maybe he was thinking of his son. Remember, fellas, if you're an erectionist for more than 4 hours, contact your doctor. Wasn't just there that Joe was a mess. Here he is on Tuesday during a different speech.
Let me close with this. After I signed the PAC Act into law,
You know, maybe you shouldn't close with that. You know, if you're going to sum something up, make sure it's words. Then it gets really weird.
I say to every young man thinking of getting married, marrying a family of 5 or more daughters. I did. My wife's the oldest of 5 sisters. You know why? One of them will always love you. Not the same one.
Marry into a family with 5 daughters. What could be the reason? So you have a 20% chance during the week someone will bang you? Clearly gave the same advice to Hunter. Who else looks at his brother's widow and says, I'm going to hit that? You can't even find stories like that in old Penthouse Forum. Believe me, I looked. And what was Hunter's pickup line? You know, all this talk about the hereafter makes me wonder, are you hereafter? But it's not like Joe suddenly got worse. He's been this way a while. There's an old but awesome clip making the rounds again with CBS's Margaret Brennan asking whether a video of Biden is real or AI. Watch.
Yeah, so here's President Biden. All right, this one I'm going to ask you about.
You can't be pro-insurrection and pro-cop. You can't be pro-insurrection and pro-democracy. You can't be pro-insurrection and pro-American. Donald Trump lacked the courage to act. The brave women and men in blue all across this nation should never forget that.
So what did you think of this one?
He didn't blink.
Not at all, right?
So that suggests it's fake.
This one's actually real.
Yes, it's actually real. It's as if they've never seen a creature having a staring contest with death. That's going to give me nightmares. I hope my screams won't wake Kudlow. So what's really going on? Aside from watching the leader of the free world turn into a wax museum dummy, this might be a clue. In April, Donald Trump beat Biden for the first time in fundraising. And there are reasons for this, among them, of course, the Alvin Bragg trial, which the public knows is about as legit as the Leah Thomas swim trophy. But as the polls shift to Trump and Biden continues to ossify, don't you get the sneaking suspicion we're not the only ones noticing?
The age issue is suffocating him. And he needs to bring up that he's only 4 years older than Trump. He's got to turn that around and need to quit arguing and complaining about the Times covering his age or the polling is no good. That's a waste of time. Don't do that.
He gets like that until you feed him mice. I love that he says it's the age issue that's suffocating him, not his actual age. Dude, life is suffocating him. He has a harder time breathing than Alvin Bragg carrying a pizza up a flight of stairs.
Damn.
So maybe there's a reason Dem staffers are suddenly pointing out that their candidate is done, that it's time to gently shuffle him off the stage. Because why else would Dem staffers issue 9 corrections that nobody asked for? Maybe because the NAACP speech was followed the next day by this.
My administration is working around the clock to free the remaining hostages, just as we have freed hostages already. And here with us today is Hirsch Goldberg Poland, and still, he is not here with us, but he's still being held by Hamas.
What? Now, the guy who was talking about, Joe thought was in the crowd at the Rose Garden, but he's a hostage in Gaza. So what does it take to get the Dems and the media to do the right thing? Let's ask Joe himself.
No. Come on, man. I knew that guy wasn't there at the Olive Garden. I just wanted him there in spirit. You know, sometimes if somebody can't be there, you say they're there in spirit, right? I talk to spirits all the time. Like the guys from the old days, Corn Pop. I mean, he might not be there, but he's there in spirit, right? Yeah. I mean, I got visited last Christmas Eve by 3 spirits. I woke up in the morning, there was a kid. I said, go get yourself a turkey, keep the change. It's a true story. That's no joke. I was in Arabia. I found a lamp and gave it a rub, and a spirit came out, offered me 3 wishes. I didn't even have to think about it. I said, daughters, daughters, daughters. Just make sure one of them loves you.
Let's welcome tonight's guest. He lives on a farm and does liberals harm. Fox News contributor Charlie Hurd. He once drank pee in the movie Dumb and Dumber, and also last weekend at my place. Host of the Harland Highway podcast on YouTube, Harland Williams. Like an Iranian helicopter, she's down to earth. New York Times bestselling author and Fox News contributor Kat Tipp. And his closet is full of Mothra balls. New York Times bestselling author, comedian, Mothra balls. You don't deserve that, audience. Charlie, all right. Does it appear that his side is now acting unilaterally to kind of push him off the stage? I wouldn't have even known about that NAACP speech. I'm not the audience, but you know.
Well, whether they're trying to push him off or not, they definitely now realize it is a Code Brown moment for them. That they have a real problem on their hands. But I love that the White House is still trying to correct the stuff that he says in his speeches, including the original text of the transcript actually spelled the word erectionist with an I and 2 R's. That all the other words that he's made, do they actually spell them out? It makes no sense. But what I think is going on here is that they wanted us to notice that they went and made the 9 corrections because they want this to be that he's just a font of malapropisms, that he's just a guy that says crazy stuff. And that has nothing to do with the problem. The problem is he's fried. Yeah, and doesn't, and the thing about the Hamas, about the hostage, is that's the problem we have with him, not the misspeaking.
Yeah, in fact, just the sound, Harlan, we're laughing about the words, but man, the syntax and the slurring, I mean, he sounds like you.
On a Friday night. No, I mean, this guy's at this point creating his own language, it sounds like. I mean, there's African Bushmen over there going, like, they don't even know what he's talking about. And do you remember when they initially started selling this as a stutter?
Yes.
Can you imagine if he actually did have a stutter and we had to hear this 4 times in a row? I mean, this guy better not win the erection or I'm leaving. But here's the thing, here's what scares me the most. Like, he doesn't know where he is. He wears these mirrored sunglasses. So you got to know he's seeing his own reflection. And he's probably like, hey, who let Orville Redenbacher in here? And it's you, Joe. It's you. Unreal.
It's crazy, Kat. Kat, what do you make of the fact that this stuff just kind of easily flowed out there?
Yeah, I don't even understand how we're calling these corrections, right? Like, they crossed out pandemic and put recession, which makes it accurate, but that doesn't mean that's what he meant.
Yeah.
Like, who knows what he meant? And what would it look like? Are they going to just start doing this? Like,
Yeah.
they could have done that, like when he said his uncle was eaten by cannibals.
Right.
They could have just added, my uncle, add the word not.
Yeah.
He was not, or when he said he had cancer,
Yes.
put the word no in front of cancer. No. He actually meant to say, I have no cancer.
Yes.
Who knows that that's what he meant?
Yeah, that's true. A correction does nothing to affect the actual meat of this being, Tyrus. What do you think? Am I being too conspiracy oriented?
No, we're all making the same mistake. We're all watching this car accident going, oh! And the Democrats are like, well, no, he's got a seatbelt on. He's fine.
A seatbelt, he swallowed the
I know,
airbag. This guy.
Yeah, the crash test dummy's like, I'm not getting in the car with this guy. But what we're missing is that they're fine with it. Mm-hmm. They're so fine with it, they're literally like, oh, he meant to say this, he meant to say this, he meant to say this. Perfect example, Bill Maher said when he was on The View that he looked like a cadaver, right? That's pretty painful to hear. Someone tells you look like a cadaver. That means you look dead. Okay, it's not a...
Yeah, I'd be upset.
I don't care who you are. Even if you're dead, you pay someone to make you look not so dead. They come to visit you. But she fired back, well, his brain's still good. So the Democrats don't care. We care. We see the house on fire, and we're screaming buckets of water, and they're sitting Indian style with their marshmallows going, I think it's fine. I think it's great. So it's not going to change. He might go up to the debate and literally just stare and drool.
Yeah.
Which is why I think he wants the debates to be so early, because he wants them to be as far away from the election as possible, hoping that people forget how bad he is.
They're letting him talk freely now, so when he says debate, they'll be like, let's watch the tape, Mr. President. There'll be no debate.
I think when they do the debate, just to prop him up a little, they should hang his degree from DeVry on the back wall.
Yes, and have a list of all the people's lives he saved as a lifeguard.
Yes.
Remember that? Even when he wasn't a lifeguard, apparently he saved 8 people from drowning, just very casual. I mean, I'm not a brag, but I'd brag about that. Every time you'd meet me, no matter what conversation we had, it would end with, I saved 8 people from drowning. So.
Well, now they're drowning in lies.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.